Christian nationalists want to turn America into a theocracy, a government under biblical rule. If things go their way this election, it could mean more power for them and fewer rights for you. I'm Heath Drusen, and on the new season of Extremely American, I'll take you inside the movement that seeks to rebuild the country in God's image. Listen to Extremely American from Boise State Public Radio, part of the NPR network.
It's The Connector, Idaho Daily News from Boise State Public Radio. Good morning. I'm Troy Oppie. It is Tuesday, January 28th. This morning, we'll catch you up on activity at the Idaho State House. Lawmakers want to limit electronic use in Idaho schools. They also advanced legislation that would encourage the U.S. Supreme Court to return the decision on gay marriage to the states and create Idaho's first anti-SLAPP legislation. Plus, a couple of stories you might have missed in recent days regarding two Boise natives, now former U.S. Solicitor General Elizabeth Prelogar, and last year's top American at the Tour de France, Matteo Jorgensen. Those stories and more coming up on The Connector from Boise State Public Radio News. A resolution calling for the U.S. Supreme Court to overturn its decision legalizing same-sex marriage nationwide has cleared the Idaho House. James Dawson has details.
The resolution doesn't carry the weight of law, but if passed by the Senate, a copy of the legislation would be sent to justices in D.C. Opponents like Democratic Representative Todd Achilles say it's ultimately a waste of time and money.
This is really, at the end of the day, nothing more than a grumpy letter, but with our names on it. The fiscal responsible thing to do is to stop it here and to stop it today.
But supporters like Republican Representative Clint Hostetler reject that notion. Standing up for what you believe is right, he says, is always a good thing to do.
Whether it's crumpled up and thrown away, whether the wording isn't exact, or whether it's ignored, it is what we need to do.
According to a 2023 poll from the Public Religion Research Institute, 59% of Idahoans support same-sex marriage, compared to 39% who oppose it. 15 Republicans joined all 9 Democrats in voting against the measure, which now goes to the Senate. James Dawson, Boise State Public Radio News.
Another attempt to block mask mandates in the state of Idaho has cleared a House committee. Nearly everyone who testified yesterday during the bill's public hearing supported the measure, and includes Yvonne St. Cyr, who pleaded guilty to trespassing in 2020. She refused to leave a Central District Health meeting when its board was considering implementing a mask mandate.
I'm a sovereign being, and no one's going to tell me what I need to cover my mouth and breathe. My breath is sacred, and I will fight with every breath I have to make sure that my freedoms are not taken away.
St. Cyr was among the roughly 1,500 people pardoned by President Donald Trump recently for her role in the January 6th Capitol insurrection. She says she still has 4 more days to serve in an Idaho jail on her trespassing charge. Kelly Packer is executive director for the Association of Idaho Cities. She was one of just 2 people in the committee hearing to oppose the bill.
You are blocking elected officials' authority to make informed decisions down the road on things we may not have any idea about.
House lawmakers have passed similar legislation multiple times the past few years, but those efforts have previously failed in the state Senate. A bill which could be Idaho's first anti-SLAPP law sailed through the state Senate yesterday. The Idaho Capital Sun reports Nampa Republican Brian Lenny's bill would allow a party being sued to put that lawsuit on hold by filing an anti-SLAPP motion. Laws dealing with strategic lawsuits against public participation, as they're called, are on the books in 35 states and the District of Columbia. That's according to a report 2 years ago by the Institute for Free Speech. Idaho's proposal allows a judge to quickly decide if a lawsuit is designed for intimidation, distraction, or punishing speech, and dismiss it. Judges' decisions could be appealed. The bill passed with bipartisan support, 32-1. Senate Majority Leader Kelly Anthon was the lone no vote. He says he likes the overall goal of the bill but wanted to take a different approach. That bill now goes to the House. The Las Vegas coroner says an 18-year-old man from Meridian, Idaho, took his own life while in custody facing murder charges. The Idaho Statesman reports 18-year-old Lincoln Bowe died October 28th, about 6 months after police say video evidence connected him to the stabbing death of a 60-year-old woman in West Las Vegas. Police say they located Bowe sleeping in his car several days later and found the alleged murder weapon. Bowe's family had previously reported him missing. Vegas police records show he admitted to stabbing the woman and hiding her body, but police did not answer questions about his death while in custody, telling the Statesman that the investigation is ongoing. Now, a couple of updates you might have missed on some Boise natives doing big things elsewhere. Former U.S. Solicitor General Elizabeth Prelogar will now teach at her alma mater, Harvard Law. Bloomberg reports Prelogar, who was last in court January 10th in what was a successful argument to uphold a ban on the social media app TikTok, will co-teach one course on changing paradigms at the Supreme Court. She'll teach alongside Michael Dreeben, who served more than 2 decades as Deputy U.S. Solicitor General until 2019. Prelogar was replaced in her role by President Donald Trump, who named his personal lawyer, John Sauer, as Solicitor General. Professional cyclist and Boise native Matteo Jorgensen finished 8th in last summer's Tour de France, the top finishing American rider. He was in a supporting role on his team for Jonas Vingegaard, who finished 2nd last summer. Jorgensen is considered an up-and-coming star who could compete for cycling's top prize, but he'll put in another year as a supporting rider this coming summer. Dutch website Sporza reported last week Jorgensen says a different team offered him a lead role to chase the yellow jersey, but he turned it down. The 25-year-old Boise High grad says he does want a shot at winning the Tour de France, but he doesn't feel ready for that just yet. The 2025 Tour begins July 25th. Finally, this morning, a new report from the Government Accountability Office says scientists should look deeper into cloud seeding to see how effective it really is at creating more rain and snow. From the Mountain West News Bureau, Alex Hager has more.
Congress commissioned the study into a technology that adds a chemical compound to clouds and can cause them to drop more precipitation. Karen Howard, who led the study, says state officials looking to boost the water supply in drought-stricken areas simply don't have enough data to know if cloud seeding is worth the money.
Yes, there is promise. There is potential. It should work. It should help. What we don't know is how well it works.
Water managers across the arid West are often skeptical about cloud seeding. Many point to a need to cut back on water demand before looking too seriously at programs to add water supply. I'm Alex Hager.
In Idaho, there are 4 areas with active cloud seeding operations during winter months. The Wood River Valley seeding area overlaps a bit across the Central Mountains with the Boise Basin seeding area, which is also overlapped to the west by the Payette Basin area. The 4th seeding area is in the Upper Snake River Basin in eastern Idaho. Operations happen from both aircraft and ground stations, but this year operators say they've been running about 25% fewer hours than normal. The State Board of Water Resources authorizes cloud seeding operations, some of which is done by private companies like Idaho Power or groups like East Idaho's High Country Resource Conservation and Development Group. The board is actively studying expanding cloud seeding into 2 other areas of Idaho, Southeast's Bear River Basin and the Lemhi River Basin. And that does it for The Connector on this Tuesday, January 28th. Thanks for listening. Like and subscribe. That helps other people find this podcast. I do want to call your attention to some work by my colleague, Julie Lucchetta. She was able to speak with an Afghan refugee living in Idaho whose family was just days away from joining him here in the United States when President Donald Trump's administration paused all refugee resettlement, even for those who had been approved to come stateside. Her story's on our website, boisestatepublicradio.org, or you can listen in the free Boise State Public Radio app for your smartphone. I'm Troy Oppie. Our news director is Sasha Woodruff. Our general manager is Tom Michael. I hope you have a great Tuesday.